back to the cricket nerds. It's me and Zach talking about a brilliant game of cricket. Pakistan just got absolutely steamrolled by India. It was a pretty rough one if you're a Pakistan fan. So any Pakistan fans watching, commiserations. It happens. You can go again. Asia Cup's just a warm-up anyway for the World Cup. So is that a controversial thing to say? I feel like that should be accepted by now.
Yeah.
Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. But King Kohli and King Legend put up an absolutely monster partnership after Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill both did really well as well. It was just a brilliant game for Indian batting and Indian bowling, to be honest. But first thing I want to touch on is the fact that KL Rahul only got in because Shreyas Iyer had back spasms in the warm-up. And boy, did he capitalize. What did you think of KL Rahul?
Yeah, it was actually a very good innings from him to come in last minute, not expecting it. To play like that was really encouraging for India, because just having that extra option in the middle order is always a nice one going into a World Cup. I mean, 50 over cricket is probably where KL Rahul's best suited, based on how he bats, based on his strike rate. We complain about him in the IPL all the time because he seems to just slow his team run rate down. But yeah, this innings was perfectly done. Although saying that, I do think that he was the reason why India didn't get closer to 400.
Yeah,
because
possibly.
when you've got Ishan Kishan and Hardik Pandya and Ravi Jadeja and the Lord Thakur to come, we know they're going to smack it around closer to 200. Maybe he could have taken a few more risks. Whereas Virat Kohli, he was almost the opposite. He just accelerated through at the end. I don't know what you thought of Kohli's innings. Just another masterclass from him.
That's the exact right word, masterclass. He always does it. I think he's got the perfect game for ODI cricket. And you know, his innings could have been cut short if Naseem Shah had picked up the ball. He was at third man. Kohli was on 60. And Naseem Shah just kind of stood there, and as the ball dropped relatively close to him. So yeah, that was obviously a bit of a let off. But overall, it was a real masterclass. Kohli capitalized on everything. He put away pretty much every bad ball, I think. And yeah, you're right in the acceleration. And I do think that anybody that we would categorize as an anchor in T20 cricket tends to make the best batters in ODI cricket. You know, you think about just in this, I would say that Virat Kohli is an anchor. KL Rahul is an anchor. Shubman Gill is an anchor. Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan, they're both anchors. Like David Malan, Joss Butler, I would say, is an anchor. Even though he's a fast scoring one, he still tries to bat the whole innings. That's just a few examples of people that the way they play is they'll get themselves in and then they'll accelerate. They'll shift through the gears. And you're absolutely right. They did that really well. I think Rahul could have accelerated a bit faster, but it was also just an incredible knock from him.
Yeah,
and
he scored a century, didn't he?
Yeah, and it's his first game back for a while as well.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting, and we'll obviously move on to India's bowling innings, but it was interesting that Rahul was off for the first few overs and Ishan Kishan had the gloves. And then I think KL Rahul took the gloves when he came back on. So I don't know if they're just trying to try out both keepers, just basically keeping their options open for the World Cup.
Yeah.
So that I thought that was interesting. But before we get on that, let's talk about Pakistan's bowling.
Yes.
Because I mean, I'm looking at those numbers, and it doesn't make for pretty reading, does it?
No, Pakistan's bowling is an interesting one for me, because what India's openers did in nullifying Shaheen Shah Afridi was what you need to do, because he's the one who's looking to take 2 or 3 wickets early and open the floodgates really, because he is their best bowler by a long way. I mean, outside of him and Harris Ralph, who has sustained a side strain, hopefully he'll be all right for the World Cup. Like, there isn't much there. Naseem Shah has got pace, but he doesn't always get wickets. Shadab Khan, I would say he's very good against not very good teams. As in, play Shadab Khan against Bangladesh and he'll do well. Play him against an India or an Australia, he doesn't pick up as many wickets. Just from what I've seen, I could be completely wrong. But yeah, from my experience, he doesn't do that. And so that means that Pakistan don't have a full strength bowling lineup, in my opinion. And I think that's where they're lacking. I think they've got some great talent, but their strength is their batting, which let them down. So yeah, it's just disappointing from a Pakistan point of view. However, I just think trying to bowl against the 4 Indian batters that batted when they're in that form, it's just going to be hard anyway, isn't it, really?
As I say, I think they didn't capitalize on the first few overs enough. And you know, when we look at the India bowling innings, it's really obvious to see that in the first 10 overs, they really capitalized on when the ball was moving around.
Yeah,
Pakistan
definitely.
really didn't enough. Like Shaheen Shah Afridi, he's got this ability to take wickets in the first few overs, much like Trent Bolt. But if that doesn't come off, he needs something to fall back on, and it kind of looked like he didn't really have a plan.
Yeah.
Naseem Shah and Harris Ralph, like you say, both injured. Big loss. Hopefully they're all right for the World Cup. They didn't bat just so they would be rested for the World Cup, which is showing again how this is just a warm-up, really. It's a warm-up tournament.
Yeah.
Your point on Shadab Khan, I'm interested by, because I think you're right. I think he is he does show up against the worst teams. And I wonder whether that's a confidence thing. I wonder whether that's when, because he's a spinner, and being a leg spinner at that, being a spinner is a lot about confidence, because you need to have confidence that you are more clever than the batter.
Yeah.
You be able to outskill and outthink the batter. You need to be setting them up. And you need to have the confidence to throw it up, like, you know, toss it up, really tempt them. And I wonder whether when it's against the better quality batters, he just doesn't quite do that. And you see more drag downs and full tosses. And I think that is potentially a factor. So, because I really rate Shadab Khan. I think he can be a really useful player. But
I just don't think he's, like, when you compare him with the other leg spinners in world cricket, like Sri Lanka, Hasaranga, England, Adil Rashid, Australia, Adam Zampa. I reckon Adam Zampa's probably a better quality leg spinner than Shadab Khan. But when you look at India, like, Yuzvendra Chahal is one of the best leg spinners in the world, and he hasn't even made the squad. And you see how well Kuldeep Yadav bowled. I just think that Pakistan, when you look at Shadab Khan, they don't have that weapon like some other teams do. I think he is good and he's got a lot of talent. But he also offers a bit with the bat as well. He's a very good lower order batsman. And he's done really well in the PSL. So yeah, it would just be interesting to see how, when we look at the end of, say, the World Cup and the leg spinners in particular, has Shadab Khan managed to hold himself with the rest?
Yeah, and he could be somebody that, almost like a Liam Livingstone, who plays second tier spinner. Because they've got good spinning all-rounders, Pakistan, like Iftikhar Ahmed and Shadab Khan, both decent spinning all-rounders, but maybe they do need that frontline spinner. And off the top of my head, I don't know who that could be. So if you know, let us know in the comments if you've got a better knowledge of the talent that Pakistan have to offer. But from what I've seen, I can't think of anybody that's that good.
I found out today that Shahid Afridi's retired and come back from retirement 5 times. So
get him back then. Get him back.
He must be about 50 now, but
yeah, he'll do a job. Do a job. Right. Let's talk about the way that Bumrah and Suraj bowled in the first few overs, because if we contrast the way that they bowled with the way that like Afridi and Naseem Shah bowled, one side looked a lot harder to bat. They had it moving absolutely miles. It was hooping. I didn't envy Ishan Kishan. I thought he actually did a really good job for the first few overs because it was going all over the shop. He's not a big lad. He's got to be only like 5'5" at most. And he was diving full stretch for everything, just because it was moving so much. So it makes a big difference when you got players like that being as accurate as they were.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they used to have Bhuvaneshwar Kumar at the top of the order, swinging that new ball was very effective. And I think the contrast is you've got Bumrah and Siraj who can bowl at pace, but they didn't need to. They utilized the conditions, as you're saying. Whereas Shaheen Shah Afridi and Naseem Shah, it's just let's bowl as fast as we can. And I think there's a time and place for it. I think accuracy is more important. And you look at the dismissal for Hardik Pandya to get rid of Babar Azam. That was a lovely delivery. And it didn't take him bowling ridiculously fast. He's not an out-and-out quick bowler, but he just put the balls in the right areas. And I guess that was the lesson for Pakistan.
Yeah, and I mean that one seemed a lot as well, so it shows there was plenty in the pitch. I mean, there was plenty in it for the batters as well, but I think they just had to get through that first phase, and they couldn't. Yeah. It was, and potentially the big difference was Kuldeep Yadav with a fifer, and has he shown that India have made the right call in leaving people like Ashwin and Yuzvendra Chahal out of the side because they are showing faith in Kuldeep Yadav, and it is quite nice to see because I think it's about time. Yeah. And he is rewarding that. But do you think he's the most potent spinning option that India have?
I feel like Kuldeep Yadav is going to take more 4 and 5 wicket hauls in ODI cricket than, say, Ravi Ashwin. For me, it's more Yuzvendra Chahal. I just think Ashwin is such a crafty bowler. And in a way, it's India are used to playing the conservative option. But I think picking Kuldeep Yadav over Ashwin is the more aggressive option because he's going to take more wickets. And he's going to be that point of difference, left arm leg break. It is a bit different, isn't it? And we see how successful Tabraiz Shamsi is for South Africa. I mean, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm completely with you, and it's nice to see him do well, isn't it? He does seem like a likable guy.
Yeah.
So more than anything, from an outsider's perspective, if they're likable, I'm going to support them. But yeah, I think it's about all we got to talk about. It was an absolute spanking from India. Commiserations to Pakistan. Chin up, lads. You just go again. I don't know what to suggest. Yeah. Do better next time.
They can still get through to the final because it's India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh in the Super 4. Bangladesh are all but out because they've lost both their games. And Sri Lanka have to play Pakistan. So Bangladesh can't make it through. So I reckon Sri Lanka versus India next game. Who's your money on for that one?
Oh, I think it's got to be India on the back of this.
Okay.
I think, but if there's any team that can do an upset in this, in the Asia Cup or in the World Cup, I think it's going to be Sri Lanka. I think they've got really good spinners, and they've got a solid side that can either perform amazingly or will get absolutely rolled.
Yeah.
And I don't think they'll really do a middling performance. So, yeah, if I was India, I'd be a little bit cautious of going against Sri Lanka. You definitely need to pay them the respect because they are good enough to roll any team. But equally, they could get beaten by Ireland, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. So for Pakistan to go through, whoever wins against India and Sri Lanka, they'll be hoping that Bangladesh can win against that team so that Pakistan can play either India or Sri Lanka in the final. Pakistan play Sri Lanka next. So yeah, there's still options available. It's still all to play for, really, except for Bangladesh. So we'll see. But yeah, as we keep saying, the Asia Cup is still the warm-up for the World Cup, which starts at the beginning of October. We're looking forward to it. We've not been that regular with our uploads of late. I think that's more for our sakes after having such a busy summer with the Ashes and everything. We kind of need that break. So stick with us because the World Cup's coming. We're going to be bringing lots of podcasts on that. Make sure you like if you've enjoyed, share with your friends. Follow us on social media. All the links are in the link tree down below. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.